Hi, my name is Mary Rassa, and this program is called Thunder on the Beach, and it is about the U.S. Army's very first proving ground. This can be done via Zoom, Google Meet, or in person, typically lasting between 30 and 45 minutes. This is a promo for it, and it'll last about 5 minutes. The weaponry of the U.S. Army, as well as throughout the world, had changed greatly between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. Smoothbore cannons with muzzle loaders were what everyone was using prior to this time period, and rifled cannons had been developed. And the effects of rifled cannons can be seen in the coastal fort at Fort Sumter. Before and after the battle, you can see the destruction that it caused. So it wasn't until the 1870s that the Army decided that they needed a permanent place to test weaponry. They chose Sandy Hook, New Jersey for a number of reasons. Probably the number one reason was it was already owned by the federal government and it was free. But they wanted a location that was near waterways so that the arsenals of the East Coast could supply them, and they wanted it near railroads and they wanted it uninhabited. All of those things met the criteria. The only thing that didn't meet their criteria is they wanted a 7 to 8 mile long peninsula, which they could not get. Sandy Hook is 6 miles long. So the proving ground existed at Sandy Hook from 1874 to 1919, and it ended up relocating to Aberdeen, Maryland in 1917. The first proof battery was in what's today known as North Beach. In the 1880s, the Army also decided to upgrade their forts using new building method of concrete and camouflaging them with a lot of earth and sand. So the locations on this map that have the cross cannons of the Coast Artillery were every major port where Coast Artillery of the Endicott era were located. One of the major items that came with this new type of weaponry was this Buffington-Crozier carriage. This was considered a way for the gun to be loaded and then lifted so that they would be called the disappearing gun. And this image shows what a typical disappearing gun battery would have looked like. Fort Hancock, which is on Sandy Hook, had these type of weapons. So the new proof battery was built in 1901 and it lasted until the end of the proving ground at Sandy Hook. It ended up having to be moved because of these new disappearing gun batteries being built as part of Fort Hancock on Sandy Hook, but it was much improved over the first one. Weapons of all types and sizes were tested there. This at the time period was the largest gun ever built in 1903 when it was completed. In order to get the weapons there, they either came in from the wharf or by railroad. And this is a map showing the extent of the buildup of structures. The peninsula became very crowded by World War I, and that led to its closing and relocation. Proving Ground today is part of the Fort Hancock and Sandy Hook Proving Ground National Historic Landmark. It is one of the most significant things on all of Sandy Hook today. And as anytime we dig, things come out of the ground, including artillery shells and railroad switches that you can see in this photograph. So between this and a dozen buildings that still exist from the time period, that is the remnants of what exists still on Sandy Hook. These are some references if you're interested in learning more. If you're interested in my program, please contact me at beaconpointhistoryservices@gmail.com. And you can also check out the rest of my programs on my YouTube channel. Thank you.